Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar on achieving 99.99% PostgreSQL uptime using open source tools. I'm your host, Annie, and I have with me our two brilliant consultants, Semab Tariq and Warda Bibi. They're going to walk you through anything and everything you actually require to deploy a cluster in production that is using only open source tools. So before I hand over the controls to them, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded, and of course, you're going to get the recording and the slides afterwards. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the webinar chat box or the Q&A feature, and we will respond to them in our Q&A session by the end of this whole presentation. And that's it from my end. Over to you for the Ensima.
All right. Thank you, Annie, for the great introduction. Hello everyone. Welcome to another topic of HA, one of my favorite topics. This time we are not only going to talk about HA, but of course, as Annie has already mentioned, we are going to deploy the actual cluster that you can use for your production environments. And of course, that is all with all the open source tools that are available in Postgres ecosystem. We are talking about having HA for 4 nines of high availability, which means you would be, which means that your application would be highly available for for like 53 or under 53 minutes per year, and you can have uptime for throughout the year's rest. Let's get started. First of all, this is a little bit of my introduction. My name is Semab Tariq, and I'm working as senior Postgres consultant at Stormatics. I joined, my first interaction with Postgres was back in 2017 and 18. This is when I joined Stormatic. I joined Second Quadrant as automation engineer. I used to work on a lot of different community products like community installers, CUDA installers, and all sort of other builds that we used to build for other products. And then I moved to Enterprise DB, where I pursued my career as a DevOps engineer at Stack and Quadrant at Enterprise DB. I was again working on some sort of builds, some tools that are provided by ADB to manage their release cycles. I joined Stormatics in 24 as a Postgres consultant, and our focus areas at Stormatics are high availability, disaster recovery, performance optimization, and of course, security and migrations as well. So yeah, Warda, over to you, please.
Thank you, Semab. Hi, everyone. I am Warda. I work as a Postgres consultant at Stormatics. My work mainly involves helping teams optimize Postgres databases for better reliability and performance. I'm also an active member of the Postgres community, contributing in various technical areas. So that's all about me. Today we'll be doing a hands-on deployment to achieve 4 nines of availability using open source tools. So with that, let's jump right in. Um, yeah. So here's our agenda for today. We'll start with why uptime is so critical for mission critical systems. And then we'll move into understanding high availability, specifically the concepts of 5 nines. Next, we'll look at what open source really means and explore the open source tools that help achieve 4 nines of availability. After that, we'll discuss Patroni, TPA, some of the limitations of Patroni, and then we'll walk you through an example architecture followed by a live deployment, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So let's get started. Okay. So let me start with an example that many of us have experienced very recently. In just the last 2 months, we have seen major outage from AWS, Microsoft, and Cloudflare. These are the organizations that we often regard as exceptionally resilient. And when the systems like these and operating at that scale can go down for hours, it's a very real reminder for all of us that no one can get 100% uptime all the time. And that brings me to why we are here today. Because see, all the applications in modern infrastructure heavily depend on the databases. And if the database is down, the business is down. So when we talk about designing four nines of high availability, we are talking about planning for disasters that can make the database go down. And so how do we actually get there, that planning for disasters that can avoid the database to go down? The first step toward that is to eliminate single point of failure. And for that, we need replication, redundancy, and monitoring. And this can all be achieved by open source tools. And we can have four nines of availability using this. Next, uh, next we are looking at what are the different nines of availability and what they actually mean in terms of the actual downtime. Starting at the top, we have 90% availability, just one nine, which means 36.53 days of downtime, which is basically a whole month. And then next, we have two nines, still give around 3.65 days. It's better, but still far too much for anything which is mission critical. For three nines, we have 8.77 hours. And then we get to four nines. At this level, the total downtime is around 52.60 minutes. And then finally, we have five nines, which is only 5 minutes of downtime. And at this point, failures can still happen, but users almost never see them because the system is designed to recover automatically. And the key takeaway here is that every extra nine that we add, it requires more engineering, more redundancy, and failover automation. And the closer we move toward four or five nines, the more we are designing for better continuous service, even when things break behind the scenes. Next, if you look at this image, these top open source tools, Linux, Postgres, Kubernetes, HA proxy, Nginx, all of these are open source, which means they are free to